The number of times I've procrastinated on tasks is just ridiculous, and I know my friends have the same issue as well. You know, things like doing housework or doing the admin, which is so boring, starting a side hustle, creating YouTube videos like these, clearing out your wardrobe, or trying to clean out those hard to reach places, even exercising. It's just the regular day-to-day stuff that we all procrastinate on. There's a few reasons why and ways to overcome them, which I'm going to go through in this video because it's worked for me every time, and I think I'm in a really good rhythm now, so I wanted to create this video. So let's start with the why. So I think the main reason we procrastinate is largely down to the fear of failing. I mean, nobody wants to fail, and when you tend to start something new, you want to make sure you succeed, but your mind comes up with all the millions of reasons why it couldn't work out, or you're not capable of it, or some random excuse that it won't go anywhere. Or sometimes you don't see the point, like when it's things like housework. Also perfectionism, lack of motivation, and just an overwhelming task. And then when you delay those tasks, then you start feeling guilty and stressed about not doing them, and you procrastinate even more. And I put my hands up, I'm guilty of all of that too. So what you need to do is address that stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem that accompanies procrastination. So here's a few ways that work well for me. The number one thing that gets me started on a task or an activity is breaking it down into smaller chunks, making it more achievable. Let's say you're going to work out and do some exercise. The overwhelming thoughts are going to be first that it's going to take too much of my time, I have to get ready for it, then I have to wash all the clothes for it. I may not have enough time in the morning or after work because I'm too busy doing other stuff. There's just a bunch of excuses. You could go to the gym, go to a class, but then there's all the prerequisites of finding a gym, having gym gear, going to the gym class. And so the best way to simplify it is, why not just get some gym equipment from a shop or follow a YouTube video and do some exercises at home whenever you want, before you go to work, after you come back, or in the middle of the day if you work from home. You want to start going for a jog. Give yourself a target of going for a jog for just 5 minutes. Because I tend to find that when you give yourself a smaller target, it reduces the friction of actually having to start it. So I'm going to give you an example that I actually go through all the time, which is making these YouTube videos. There's so many reasons that pop up in my head for not wanting to do this, but the way I achieve it is I break it down into smaller tasks. So instead of thinking I have to create an entire video full of A-roll, B-roll, edit the whole thing, include music, do color correction, and scripting of course, it seems like a daunting task. So instead, I break everything down to the very first thing I need to do, which is script. But before that, I need some ideas. So I just give myself one simple task to generate ideas, and that's it. And then once that's done, that's the end of the task, and I'll move on to something else. If you've got to do some admin, you can just spend 15 minutes doing admin and then continue another day. If you've got to do housework and say you have to vacuum your entire home, you could just vacuum 2 rooms and do the rest of the home another day. So whatever the task is that you have to do, I like to break it down to smaller chunks because that way I just end up doing the thing rather than procrastinating and not doing it at all. When it comes to a task that you really don't want to do, for example, doing the filing, because I find that so boring. In order to get me to do it in the first place, I manage my expectations and give myself a reward, whether that's a cookie or a cake or going out for a dessert as soon as I'm finished. Some sort of reward will make you do the thing and do it probably quicker as well, because you'll be so looking forward to that reward, and make the thing that you're doing a little bit more fun, like listening to some music or doing a workout with somebody else. It just makes it more enjoyable and you're more likely to actually go and do it again. Another thing is setting a deadline or having like a visible checklist. So I've got a whiteboard on my fridge and I use that as my checklist, my to-do list of what I need to get done today. And the satisfaction of crossing it off is the best part of it, because it shows that I've progressed, I've done something worthwhile for the day, and It's just I've done a task that maybe I didn't want to do and it's just out the way for the next few days. But if you set yourself a deadline and either put it in your calendar, write it on a board, or put it on your reminders list on your phone, just something to motivate you to get the thing done by a certain date. That way you're more likely to go ahead and finish it. If you don't set a date at all, then it's more than likely going to extend for a few weeks or a few months, and you may never get it done. In order to stop procrastinating, make the thing easier to do. So if it involves working out, have all your gym equipment ready before you go to sleep, so it's there first thing in the morning. Take it out to where you're going to be using it, so you don't have to waste time moving things around. If it's things like housework, just take the vacuum out and put it where you're going to be using it as the very first step, and you're more likely to go ahead and carry on using it. It works for me every single time. A general rule is if I tell myself that I'm going to do something for 2 or 5 minutes, depending on what the task is, I end up doing it for a lot longer. I get started with a thing, whether it's cleaning or creating a YouTube video, then I end up finishing it off. And it seems to work every single time that I've done this. So I highly recommend you give that a go. Another great way is accountability. So whether you have a friend that will hold you accountable for getting something done, or you have a shared list on your phone where your partner can see all the things that are required to be completed, so then your partner can hold you accountable to getting something done. Making it something fun, like setting like a challenge by getting something done at a certain time or day, and then you're more likely to not want to disappoint them and you actually get the thing done. And sometimes you go beyond expectations and do a little bit more. Whatever the thing is that you need to do, you have to change your mindset. It's really important to shift your mindset on the result, because the result is the accomplishment. So rather than criticizing yourself or thinking of every reason not to do something, just keep your mind on the result, because it gives you your reason for doing it in the first place. And without that, like, you may never even start. But if you can think of all the reasons how it could be beneficial once you do complete it, you're more likely to go ahead with it. So for instance, me creating YouTube videos, I'm hoping that it becomes something bigger than it is right now, that one day it will grow and I'll be able to connect with a lot of people and help them in the best way that I can, and maybe one day have it as my source of income. So there's lots of tools and resources that you can use to help with the process. I tend to use a whiteboard because it's visible, I see it every single day, and when something's not crossed off, then I'm eager to get it done so I can take it off the board and start afresh. There's also like apps like Todoist. You can use your reminders app on your iPhone. You can use apps like Trello or Notion, which is something I use. And it's just a great way to manage the task and stay focused. Procrastination is almost like a bad habit. So if you create a brand new habit of doing the thing that you don't want to do or need to do, then you're more likely to maintain that kind of habit going forward. If you're more scientific, you're creating all these neural pathways which you're strengthening every time you repeat that habit. I found the best book to help with procrastination is a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. It just teaches you the fundamental reasons of why we procrastinate or why we don't start a new habit, and the ways to get into creating a new habit and maintaining that as well. Another great way is by incorporating some joy or fun in the process of doing the thing that you don't want to do, like listening to some music or doing a workout with somebody else. It just makes it more enjoyable and you're more likely to actually go and do it again. And that's from Ali Abdaal's videos, and he's got a book out as well, which I've been watching for many years, and there's a few that he does on procrastination, which have really helped me. I found that the quicker you take action on a task that you don't want to do or you need to get started, the more likely you are to do it. So make it easier, give yourself a deadline, do it for 5 minutes. You don't have to do the whole thing in one day, just break it up over several days. Reward yourself with a nice chocolate afterwards, and just have everything out ready before you start the thing. It reduces the friction, the resistance of starting it in the very first place. I've found that it really does help me, because I think it It happens to me on a daily basis, but there's always something that I don't want to do. But using all the tips that I've shared in this video, I always get everything done one way or another. It may take a little bit longer, but it's better than not doing it at all, or doing it at the very last minute when you're going to be frustrated and just annoyed of having to do the task and you won't do it well and you may have to end up doing it again. I'd love to hear your procrastination habit and the best way you've found to overcome them. So feel free to leave a comment and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.